and a very warm welcome to Gaming News Weekly, your weekly news show every Friday at 5 p.m. with your hosts, me, I'm Rich, and my good friend Tabs. Say hello, buddy.
BArcadians, woo!
As usual, we've got some stories to get through in gaming this week. I think we've got 3 stories to get through, or is it 4, or something like that, and then we've got a bit of everything else. Everything else is jam-packed this week. Lots of interesting little stories this week to get through, so that's cool. We're going to start this week as we always do. We're going to talk about what we've been playing this week. So, Tabs, what have you been playing this week?
Not loads too different or exciting, mate. A little bit of pairs. I've not played any of Skyward Sword.
Wow, okay.
I really want to, but I've just not felt... I've been a bit strung out this week, a bit tired. And it's the sort of game you really have to be switched on for and engage with, especially because the motion controls. Whereas it's much easier to just put on a bit of Pro Evolution Soccer, mindlessly play a game on automatic, and you're not really having to do an awful lot. I suppose it's the difference between like watching a really thinking, intensive film or just putting on a dumb action movie and kicking back. So not a lot to write home about from me. We have talked about with a friend of the channel, Andy, about this Tribes of Midgard, haven't we, game? Downloading it for the PS5, multiplayer Viking, kind of dungeon crawler, RPG sort of a game. A bit like Diablo, actually, as well. So that's on the cards. But yeah, that's about it from me. What about you, mate? Anything more to...
Yeah, a really quiet week this week. I honestly don't know where the week's gone this week. Just seemed like every single evening this week there's been something to do, some job that needed doing or something. And every night I've gone, I'll try and play a bit of a Plague's Tale tonight. And I've just not got a chance to get onto it, which is a real shame because I really want to get back to it. I was really enjoying playing it. But it's one of those things, sometimes life can just be a bit too busy and you can't get time to be on it, you know. But we'll get there, and like you say, we've got this Tribes of Midgard, which looks cool, and hopefully we can have some cool friends time on that, so that'll be really cool.
Spot on, mate.
So, let's get into the first story this week, and it is another game developer supergroup. Let's get into it, and this comes from IGN. Developers from the teams behind Last of Us, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, God of War, Destiny, and more have come together to form That's New Moon, a new studio working on a single-player, third-person action-adventure game and backed with $100 million worth of investment. As announced,
that's No Moon, mate. That's No Moon. You said New Moon.
Oh, I do apologise.
That's all right, mate. It's all right.
Apologise. As announced in a press release, That's No Moon comes with a huge AAA pedigree with many of its senior figures coming from background at PlayStation Studios. Michael Mumbauer,
I'll go with that.
Formerly head of PlayStation Visual Arts Group, is CEO, and Tina Kowalski, yeah, I'm going to go with that.
Kovalevsky, I'd maybe say.
Okay, Kovalevsky. Okay, formerly head of product development at Sony Santa Monica, is Chief Strategy Officer. Although details are scant, the studio's first game will be an ambitious new action-adventure game that will push the limits of both gameplay and story. Interestingly, while the studio is working on a game, the announcement press release mentions that That's No Moon rests at the intersections of games, film and TV, although it's not clear if that's a creative philosophy or representatives of an actual kind of project it aims to work on. Really interesting. You know, we always like to see a new developer, you know, sprout up, and this one, it seems like it's got some real credence in there, you know, with some really big titles, you know, people coming from really big titles, and the fact that there's quite a few ex-PlayStation employees on the books here, that sort of suggests to me that this may have a tie into PlayStation and Sony. Obviously, that's not we don't know that at the moment, but so I don't think that's a stretch to suggest that. What do you make of this story, Tabs?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's always good to see talent come together, especially, you know, when they're of this caliber. It's hard to imagine what a game, you know, looks like with the minds of The Last of Us, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and God of War, and Destiny, you know, actually would equal. But what have we got? They've said single player, third person action adventure game and $100 million worth of investment. I mean, with that sort of talent, surely it's going to be a big game, and it's a single player third-person action-adventure game. No mention of being game as a platform or game as a service. No mention of online multiplayer, which I'm pretty pleased with. So let's just hope for a stellar single-player experience that we can look forward to. With regards to the PlayStation thing, I think the $100 million of investment has come from like a third-party group.
Okay.
So that would suggest to me they've probably got freedom in terms of how and where they publish it. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I would expect to probably see this on both next-gen consoles, from what we know so far at the very least. But as you point out, it's too early to say anything unequivocally. And then that last thing you said about rests at the intersection of games, film and TV. Again, we don't know if that's just like a blurb for what their company intends as a general philosophy, or if that is the direction this first game they're making is going in. But yeah, I don't know. That kind of makes me think about what we've seen, bang on trend in the industry. Netflix talking about coming into games, the popular transition of games into TV series films like The Witcher, and how, these two massive industries might try and find an intersection to work together in to kind of share their audiences as well and popularize both industries even more so. So yeah, suffice to say, very interesting. I've not thought enough about it to give you any sort of insight into what could happen though. But anything else to add, my friend?
The only thing I would say, firstly, single person, third person action adventure, tick. I'm all about that. Love those games. And I think $100 million's worth of investment as a start, dollars of course, I think that's a great start to get a game going. Obviously the potential that will need a bit more in there, but once they've got a foundation of a game that they can go out to investors and go, this is what we're making, do you want to come on board? Whether that's they go to Microsoft, they go to Sony, whoever. I think this could be really interesting, and I think there's enough, in theory, there's enough experience and talent within that to make a really good game. So excited to see what they do. But I think we're a good few, given the fact this has just started, we're a few years away from seeing anything from these.
Yeah, I'd have to think so. But, we moan enough, don't we, about games as a service, about developers not getting new IP out, new entries in their series, Rockstar. And this is music to our ears in that respect, isn't it? This is new IP, this is new concepts, this is new innovations in the games industry. So that's what we want to see. Absolutely.
Anyway, take us on to the next story, Tabs.
Oh, right. Well, let's wipe our smiles off our faces a bit, because this is a bit of a disappointing one for the games industry. So, title or headline reads Activision Blizzard protests. So, a couple of articles to cover off here. Which, it's just from The Guardian. Apologies. This is what they had to say. Employees of Activision Blizzard, the video game company that produces World of Warcraft and Call of Duty, staged a walkout Wednesday morning to call for better working conditions as the company faces allegations of a frat boy culture and severe harassment and discrimination against female workers. The California Department of Fair Employment and Housing, DFEH, filed a lawsuit against the company last week after a 2-year investigation found widespread sexual harassment, retaliation and discrimination, and that the video game maker fostered a sexist culture in which female employees earn less than males doing similar work. Just 20% of Activision Blizzard's 9,500 employees are women, and leadership at the company, one of the largest video game makers in the world, is largely white and male. Hundreds of workers gathered outside the company's headquarters in Irvine, California, Wednesday morning, while others, unable to attend in person, took part in a virtual protest. Organisers of the walkout are demanding the company improve conditions for employees at the company, especially women, and in particular women of colour and transgender women, non-binary people and other marginalised groups. In response to the allegations, the company initially said the lawsuit contained distorted and, in many cases, false descriptions of Blizzard's past, Polygon reported. A letter sent to staff from a company vice president last week described the lawsuit as truly meritless and irresponsible, and since then, more than 3,100 current and former employees signed an open letter expressing their support for the DFEH lawsuit, according to NBC News. So deep breath after that one. So essentially, we've got this terrible, report that Activision Blizzard seem to be following in the footsteps of Ubisoft with some of these misconduct allegations, frat boy culture. I think we heard very similar things from Ubisoft, and then they've released a tone-deaf response to these allegations, which has then caused uproar in their ranks. Of the 3,100 employees came out in support of the lawsuit, basically saying, no, this is a real issue, listen to it, don't try and just ignore it and deflect it and push it away. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've had a chance to look, Rich, about any of the allegations in detail. We won't go into too much detail, but they're terrible, they're awful.
It does sound horrendous, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because this has sort of taken on different stages. There's been the first stage of the lawsuit, and then I think the press release that they've put out to the sort of the press and their employees to say, oh no, this is not really a thing, has almost fueled the people.
Sorry, Rich, I've lost you, mate. I don't know if you're still there.
Yeah, I'm still here, buddy. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you again.
Yeah, so this has sort of fueled those people that thought, I don't want to rock the boat. I like working here. I like what I do, even though the working conditions could be better. And I think that's fueled people going, actually, you know what? Let's all stand together. It's time. It's not time to be fearful of saying things that are wrong. And I think that's why suddenly there's an influx of all the people that feel that it is wrong have come out and obviously stood beside that with this open letter and the signatures. So I think it's really good that the employees are seeking change and it's rightful. The thing that's the worst is that it's come to this. That this culture has been harboured almost within Activision Blizzard, and yeah, I don't know, especially in this day and age, it's it's sort of the kind of thing that you would, you watch an old movie that's from the 60s or the 70s, and that's the kind of thing that you would expect from there. And it's sometimes good, you watch films that are set in that era, and it's almost, it's such a different era back then, but it's almost like this has stood still, and some of those things that were almost accepted back then that aren't accepted in this day and age, that they're still going on. It's bizarre.
We should know better, shouldn't we? Absolutely. I like me and you, mate, day to day, we'll moan about our workplaces, won't we? About things not being as ideal as we'd like, but this is on another level. I'm sure I read one report out of many was that there was this practice of like cubicle, basically a load of men would get drunk and then go on like cubicle tours or something, harassing women, as they go, making inappropriate lewd comments. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's like something you'd see in like a Wolf of Wall Street movie or something like that. Something really extreme and absurd almost.
The thing for me is, if that was to happen in another company or lots of other companies, that was happening in a big conglomerate company or whatever, all those employees would be dismissed. That's like gross misconduct to do something like that, and it would be dealt with within the highest possible order. So I find it hard to believe that people that doing that can think that that's acceptable, but the people above that are allowing that to happen. I don't know. It's bizarre.
Yeah, it looks, and similar to Ubisoft from the reports we've seen and the difficulties we've seen them have in terms of reforming. Trying to overhaul their business. Like it goes, it's almost leadership sponsored, because for this to happen to this degree throughout the company, it just seems like it's being, so many blind eyes are being turned that it has to be something that is, they're rotten to the core, aren't they, almost? It's not just one or two individuals necessarily. There really is it's widespread. So I think, the important thing is people are standing up, they're demanding change, they're doing it in a positive way, a constructive way, it seems. And we just need to focus on that now and hope to see, as we said, we've seen this with Ubisoft, we've seen this with Activision Blizzard now. I'm sure it's not the last time we'll see it, not just in the games industry either. So hopefully there's sort of there'll be a butterfly effect around the world and in all companies and industries, that things like this are a total anachronism, a thing of the past that should have been, rubbed out and got rid of years and years ago. And yeah, I mean, we shouldn't try and get too much on a soapbox, mate, should we? Because we are white males. We aren't the authorities here either. We can't really truly represent the people who have been marginalised and who are the victims here. But Barcadians, with all that being said, please let us know your comments down below. We'd love to hear from you. And if you can shed any more light, or you've got similar experiences, it's always good to talk. But my friend,
just one last piece on that before we move on, and I think this is a theme seemingly through certainly our news, that unfortunately often the big news stories of the week at the moment, and like last week was a prime example, are like things that you think you wouldn't, in this day and age, you wouldn't be having to talk about, and unfortunately, an industry that we absolutely love. We love playing games. We love, everything about it. We end up talking about lots of stories that are almost negative in a lot of ways. This being an example. We love games that are made, but they've got to be made in the right way and stuff. And yeah, I just wanted to just say, I'm sure there will be better times ahead for the games industry, but it just seems like there's a lot of negativity around things that are going on in the games industry at the minute. I don't know whether you've thought that over the last few weeks, Tabs.
Yeah, there is, isn't there? And it's stuff like this which enrages you. It makes you feel a sense of injustice. It makes you lose your faith a bit in humanity. And that obviously brings an outpour of emotion and a will to try and, fix the world. So yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. And unfortunately, though, that has the byproduct. It can sometimes, come to define something which in other times you've got so much enjoyment out of, so much positivity to share. And it's a shame, isn't it? But no, I think we just need to, make sure we keep our eye on these things, do our best as, custodians, as gamers, to help to steer the industry in the right direction, but continue to celebrate the good things and the positive things so we don't lose our way. And of course, we've always got Young Yeah, who's there to talk about and put these people in their place for us. So let's not forget that. But mate, should we try and talk about something a little bit happier as well then, and move on to the next?
Absolutely. So Halo Infinite news. Nice. And this comes from VG247. Last night's Halo's Infinite technical preview live stream brought us an embarrassment of riches when it comes to new information and new gameplay of the multiplayer portion of the game. The stream offered a first look at the multiplayer gameplay on Xbox One as well as Xbox Series X. 343 did not say if we were looking at Xbox One X gameplay or just the base model, which I feel should have been noted. Nevertheless, this was the person writing it. While it looked to be running fine, the image looked significantly softer and more blurry compared to Xbox Series X and PC as expected. Speaking of which, the developer also showed off a full match of Slayer on the live fire map on Xbox Series X. We got to see the new weapon drop mechanic, a first for Halo, and some really high level gameplay by one of 343's pro player consultants. The developer also offered an extensive look at Spartan, vehicle and weapon customization. The expanded system has its own menu where you really get to admire how good the models look as you mess about with armor and vehicle skins. All in all, this was a confident showing, and it made me a little jealous of people who get to play the tech preview this weekend.
And I'll pick you up there, mate. It's also apparently getting a battle pass system. So this came from Windows Central. Halo Infinite is among the latest embracing the battle pass formula, a tier-based approach to progression and monetization in video games. The system mirrors similar implementations from Fortnite and Call of Duty, designed with a clear chain of rewards, while developer 343 Industries previously experimented with battle passes in Halo the Master Chief Collection, and Infinite refines the approach. Halo Infinite battle passes are immediately recognizable to those familiar with other popular shooters, splitting various rewards across fixed tiers This linear progression ties to XP earned, climbing levels for completing matches and playing the game. Weekly and daily challenges, XP boosts, and other bonuses help fast-track the process. Progressing through the free Battle Pass, available to all Halo Infinite players, unlocks various rewards at each tier. There's also a paid freemium track available as a one-time purchase with exclusive bonus gear. 343 Industries has expressed intentions to split the goodies across both channels, providing ample rewards no matter your investment. So, mate, a lot of information. We're totally fish out of water on this one, aren't we, truly? Because we're not big Halo players. You don't play FPSs. I don't play many online multiplayer shooters. But what do you make of all this? I think it sounds like it's had a fairly positive reception so far. The Battle Pass system coming into line with the likes of Call of Duty and, this sort of live service setup. Good for business. It sounds like they can implement it in a way which doesn't damage players who don't want to pay extra for things. So that's good. But, what do you make of it all, mate?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to hear that it's looking good. That was one thing that we were a bit sceptical of a few years ago. I know they showed us a bit at around E3, didn't they, when it was looking a lot better, so it's cool that.
That's a good point, actually. It is working on Xbox One. I think we've seen stuff of that, and although it looks a bit soft, as it says there, it's working, which I think allays a certain amount of fears in the community. Carry on.
Absolutely. And from what I've been reading, people are really excited about the multiplayer on this. They said, it's going to really bring it back up to focus in, what is modern gaming. So I think people are really excited about the multiplayer, and I think there'll be more stuff that comes out of that in due course as people get a bit more hands-on with it, they get on to the preview. So yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. But like you say, it's hard to get too excited given I don't play first-person shooters and you don't really play any online first-person shooters.
This is it. I'll be more interested to see what the single-player experience looks like. But,
Agreed.
Happy for all those out there who this is their bag. So, BArcadians, you'll have to fill in the gaps for us on this one. Let us know what you think in the comments. And we'll do our best to talk about something we don't have a lot of experience with. But Rich, how are we looking on time? Should we round things off and finish with the quick fire? Yeah,
let's smash through everything else. Quite a bit in here, some interesting stories as well. So let's crack on into it. I'll go first. Kena Bridge of Spirits has been delayed till September. Just a few weeks, I think, on that delay.
Yeah, bit of a shame. But, again, let's get it polished. I was excited for it, so...
Yeah, I'm excited for it too. It's only a few weeks. I think it was an August date, so that's fine.
COVID. PS5 sales top 10 million as it becomes fastest selling PlayStation console. Very positive. Statement of intent for Sony with that, wasn't it?
Absolutely, and these next two are actually slightly linked. Abandoned developer Blue Box Game fuels Kojima rumours again following recent teaser. And what they've done is they've put a blurred character behind their Abandoned, and it looks like a male with some stubble or a beard with a patch, an eye patch, which many people would say looks a little bit like Solidus Snake maybe, which was a little bit strange. So they've further fueled the rumours that it could be something to do with Kojima. Go on, Tabs.
And the layout, for me, looked quite similar to the way they've laid out box art for Metal Gear games in the past.
Yeah,
so you see the protagonist in the background, or one of the protagonists, and then you've got the title over the top, and then they've got this description, very Kojima-like, of like almost the genre of the game. So, Metal Gear, tactical espionage action. I think that's what he used to put. This says real-time experience, Abandoned. So it's definitely, for me, a very unsubtle play on it being related in some way to MGS. But whether it's just to stir up more chatter again, I mean, ultimately, it's going to disappoint fans if there is no connection. But certainly, Rich, our WhatsApp chat lit up, didn't it?
Absolutely. And do you want to just take us on this next, which is the next bit's actually linked to this?
Oh, I like it, yeah. Is this linked to Norman Reedus's posting freaky video starring Silent Hill's Robbie the Rabbit? So yeah, if you go on Norman Reedus's Instagram, there's a picture of him, very artsy, of him in like a skeleton suit, and next to him is this rabbit, like with blood around its mouth. And actually, if you go and do a bit of research, on Silent Hill, there's a character in that, a recurring character. He's a mascot of some place in Silent Hill, and he's called Robbie the Rabbit, and it looks exactly the same, like even down to the way the blood is around his mouth. So they're the same asset essentially. So, and he posted this, what was it, like 20 hours prior to?
Something like that. I mean, the coincidence, there's too many coincidences in this. Unless they're staging the coincidences, and it is just coincidence. But yeah, bizarre scenario, but there we go.
This is it. Go on, mate.
I was just going to move on to if you've got something else to say on that.
No, I was going to move on, and then I realised it's your turn.
Right, okay. And speaking of Kojima, Death Stranding PS5 will expand on the social strand system, which we think will mean people helping each other in their game, so basically friend play. But it's unconfirmed, and they're going to confirm in the coming weeks.
They've mentioned something about friend, didn't they? Because you told me, and I was like, "Oh, this could be." We were already thinking let's replay it, but that's like if we can play together.
Oh, 100%.
Mint. Anyway.
Agreed.
And then the last thing this week, Astro's Playroom developer working on a new 3D action game. Amazing.
Excited for that. Very excited for that. Well, there we go. Mate. Absolutely bumper news week this week. There was a lot in everything else, but we got there in the end. Some interesting stories, some maybe not so good stories, but we got there in the end. As usual, if you're new here, please subscribe and join the channel. And if you've enjoyed what you've seen today, get on there and like it. But I think that is all we've got time for this week. Another one for the archive.
Stamped and completed.